So now we're doing a first for FOTE. We're having a little Pitchfest, thanks to the lovely judges who nicely color coordinated with a tablecloth today.
You wouldn't say that's about men.
I definitely would. I would be harder on men, you know. No. So we have 10 startups pitching their ideas to you. They've got 3 minutes. Then we go to the judges to be grilled, Dragon's Den style. And then at the end, you can vote for the winner via text message, Twitter, and an online link, which we will share at the end, so there's no sort of unfair advantage. First one up, actually some people that couldn't make it in the end, so they just sent us a little video clip. So, rolling.
Hi, my name is Amar Shangavi, and I'm one of the co-founders of evaloop. Together with my colleague, Timur Fetzer, we are PhD candidates at the London School of Economics. As class teachers, we identified there to be a lack of timely, streamlined, and frequent feedback between teachers and students. This can ultimately lead to frustration on both sides. The product is simply an app that a student would download on their mobile phone device and use it to provide feedback that is actively solicited by the app by sending out push notifications at the end of every seminar, class, or lecture. A powerful analytics module using state-of-the-art machine learning algorithms transforms data into insightful analytics, allowing tracking of performance over time and identifying avenues for development. Teachers can then take the feedback and bring it back into the classroom, enriching the learning experience. All stakeholders benefit from a feedback culture. Institutions could derive insights for benchmarking. Teachers can develop their skills and identify avenues for growth. Students benefit from improved communication, more tailored learning experience, empowering them to go on to a successful career in life. Where do we stand now? We have just released the Android and iOS version of the app. The product is functional and running. It is currently on trial at the London School of Economics. We require some funding to bring us into a position to expand the product to other institutions in the course of the next academic year. Thank you very much for your support, and we apologize for not being with you here today.
Okay, so you can clap even if they're not here. We obviously don't have any means to ask them any questions. I think one of them is getting married somewhere in Africa, and the other one is on a business trip, so they are excused. Next up, it's Sinead McManus from Fluency.
Can we go full screen? No? Okay, that's okay. Okay, we're on double screen. So we'll just leave it at that, yeah? Okay, great. Awesome. Hi, everybody. I'm Sinead McManus. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Fluency. Fluency is a learning platform that helps young people get into work. So the problem we are solving is that 26 million young people in developed countries are without work. And since 2007, the number of young people without a job has increased by 30%. But at the same time, there's a skills gap in industry. A recent report by O2 reported that by 2017, just here in the UK, we'd need another 745,000 people with digital skills. At Fluency, we see a way of bringing these two groups together. We think that our young people have a killer app that these businesses need, and that's that they get digital. And what we mean by that is that they're inherently comfortable online and they pick this stuff up really fast, but they don't know how to apply it in business, and that's where we come in. So we've built, no, I beg your pardon. So there's 3 elements to Fluency: skills development, real-world experience, and access to work. So we've built an LMS where we teach our learners the kind of things that we know that the industry is looking for. Things like search engine optimization, social media marketing, and analytics. We teach this through curating the best-in-class resources that we found around the web, prefaced by learning objectives and key learning insights. If the resource is embeddable, we put it directly onto the page, whether that's a video, an infographic, or we've built an iframe where the resource can have a really good user experience without sort of leaving our site. The reason why we've decided to focus on curated resources is that digital moves really fast. We can also work with subject matter experts to provide the best learning experience. And also we can work with partners such as universities and schools and colleges to use our content almost like Lego blocks that they can put together with their own content to create the best digital employability context for their students. Learning is tested using in-lesson quizzes and also reflections. But we really only think that you can learn this stuff by doing it. So we intersperse what we call micro-challenges into the lessons. These could be like a critical thinking challenge, like make a video on your phone about what the internet and the World Wide Web, or could be something a little bit more practical, like install these 3 Chrome extensions for your learning for the rest of the course. We also have what we call projects on the site, which are big, chunkier challenges. This is where we get our young people to do actual real pieces of digital work that they can start to really get some genuine work experience, and also to start to build their portfolio so they can show this to potential employers or clients. But it's really access to work that is the thing that really gets us up in the morning and really where we want to create our social impact. So at the moment, it's very simple. We have a jobs board where we introduce our learners to entry-level digital jobs. But what we're building is a really interesting algorithm matching system where we can use data and insight from our learners to make them to the employers with the right jobs and make the process easier on both sides. So yeah, I'm not going to go through the competition there. So we've got a really great team, very small. There's myself, 13 years business experience, domain expertise in digital. My CTO, Ian, is here, 17 years building amazing web applications. And we also eat our own lunch, as we say in the startup world, and we employ young people. We've been going just over a year, but we've had quite a bit of industry recognition. We were on Bethnal Green's Tech Incubator. We're very lucky to be chosen this year as one of the Big Venture Challenge cohorts. And we've just raised a seed round with clearly social angels and impact investors. But we're starting with digital, we're starting with young people, and we're starting right here in the UK. But our vision is much bigger. We want to be the go-to platform. Run away. We want to be the go-to platform for people around the world in need who want to learn and work at the same time. We hope to really get there quite soon. Sorry, the slides really put me off my game there. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you. Okay, now quick 3-minute question from the judges.
Sorry for going over on the time. I was so thrown by the slides.
I think you did a brilliant job of sharing so much information.
At the same time, it's like, no, that's my punchline. It's coming.
I know that you're really aiming some of this platform at people without digital skills. Yeah. So how can you ensure that it's accessible for them because it's online?
So yeah, that's a really interesting question. I think what we find from the young people we work with, people call young people digital natives, it's all the time, but actually what we find that they have an inherent level of digitalness, like they've grown up with technology, but they don't necessarily know what's behind that technology or how to use it, to fulfill business objectives. But they're much less scared of it than I've worked with older people, training them in digital. So I think that's the first thing. The second thing is we run a lot of blended learning programs, which we find are really, they have like 100% engagement, which is kind of not known really in the online learning world. So what we find is that if you take the core product of Fluency, but then you blend it with offline meetups in digital companies, which is something we've run successful under the Get Digital brand, that's been super successful. It means we can, the learners can go at their own pace during the week, and then we can help them get them up to speed when we meet them. So I think blending learning is really where we want to spend a lot of our time.
Great, thank you.
Hi. One of the things I'm curious about is you showed us the profile where learners can collect their information, show their skills. So when a learner finds a job, can they take that information with them? Do you give them some sort of, takeaway? Is that compatible with, I don't know, like a Mozilla backpack or something, and they can take with them in the future? Yeah,
it's a really great question. We, as a social business, we want to have our insights and our data really as open as possible. We're not interested in really holding that. We will be integrating a badging system into the site that hopefully people will be able to take with them. We don't know whether it's going to be Mozilla open badges or something that we design ourselves or using maybe Pearson's or something like this. But yes, the idea is that that profile and learning is for them forever, basically. And what we find from our learners is what's really nice is once we get them into a job, they're coming back. So they're using it as a CPD, a lifelong learning, a professional development tool. So their boss will say, oh, can you go set up the Google Analytics account and start set up goals and destinations, all these sort of things. And they're like, oh my God, what is that? So we see them coming back and looking at that information and then implementing that in their workplace, which I think was not something we thought of, and it's something that's really nice to see.
Okay. Thanks very much.
Yeah. Should we give you the opportunity to add anything that we've not asked about, given that you have like 39 seconds?
Over earlier. I'm tough. I'm German.
No, I think because I went a little bit over on the time because my slides were a little bit.
We're good.
I appreciate the judges' time, and thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Jeanette. Next up, please welcome on stage Joanna from Keywords English.
Okay, hands up all the educators in the audience. Fantastic. How many of you would love to see an improvement in the literacy and academic skills of young people before they start higher education? I like your style. Okay, Keywords English is a grassroots initiative that does that. So why? Well, effectively, in classrooms today, we have straight-A students sitting next to those who cannot read or write simple texts, next to those who do not understand the language of instruction, next to those with special educational needs, next to those from conflict areas, and next to those who just do not like school. This is all having a dramatic impact on learning, and I can absolutely guarantee it, we are pulling our hair out. So why don't we take a step back and look at what it is we actually need in our classrooms today, and how can technology help us to do that? Well, what about researching the entire curriculum to identify what exactly young people need to know for each topic on the curriculum and creating a learning experience from that? Why not test that with 80 teachers in 250 schools and then validate it with in another 110 countries? And that is the methodology behind this app. What we did then was try to create an inclusive learning experience to suit the diverse learning needs that we have in our classrooms today. So if young people have difficulties with pronunciation or identifying word stress on words, the app is for them. If they have difficulty spelling or hate spelling, as many do, then this can help them to work at their own pace. What about looking at constructing sentences and looking at a context where their learning is scaffolded so that they feel more confident when it comes to reading longer pieces of text, either in a textbook or online. What we did then was looked at testing this in a range of different learning contexts with young people from different socioeconomic backgrounds around the UK, replicated that in Ireland, and then thought, okay, so what is the learning value here? And the learning value is phenomenal. So this was just one set of results from a control group in Luton. And if you look at student 2, the results from that student, their feedback was, I couldn't believe I could spell, miss. And I thought, you can spell it as good as anybody else. So we then got international validation from key decision makers from various different countries that, yeah, we take this, we like it, and we'll pay for it. When you look at the competitive landscape, you might go, oh my God, she's never going to make it here. But actually, if you look at this, these are all exam apps. Great if you can read, but terrible if you can't. The market opportunity is fantastic. Mobile learning is growing at a rapid rate, but there is a gap in the market for instructional apps that are inclusive, collaborative, research-based, and can scale. We're in a seed funding round looking for 150,000 to develop an app for biology that will provide a gaming platform, collaborative learning, learner-generated content, and that is personalised. Business model, I'll come back to that. We're working with, I believe that the future of EdTech lies in the synergy between pedagogy and technology. And we've partnered with a very successful gaming company who can monetize, and we're bringing this product to market. Teachers, we've got a huge challenge in schools. Vote for me.
Thanks very much, Jeanette. That was very good. Judges, any questions?
I think we've seen a lot of different solutions or trying to solve the problem of literacy and numeracy as well in some ways. Yes. What do you think makes this really different from the other things that are out there?
Firstly, it comes from the grassroots. So it comes from what we actually need in the classroom. It's thoroughly research-based. It's supported by leading academics in the area of language, literacy and mobile education. It's supported by governments. It hasn't been designed as a solution to purely make money. I'm in the classroom every day and I'm tripping over ed tech solutions that don't work. How can we create something that does? And in terms, I didn't include it here, but in terms of getting additional validation, we also got validation from 500 16-year-olds and say, you know what, would you use this? I work with young people all the time. You know, they don't do their homework for me. So, you know, how can I guarantee that if we invest money in this, they'll actually use it? And I have young people who said, Miss, if you make this for me, we'll collect £2 from every student in the school and give it to you if you make one for us. So we've proved the concept, is what I'm trying to say.
I think the validation of what you've done is really impressive. Yeah. I just wonder who your real target audience would be. I mean, who does it work best with?
Yes, we tested in a range of different contexts. So ideally, the 30% of young people who are struggling with literacy for whatever reason. We are also, with the additional funding, will build in an additional learning path for students who are probably a bit more average or mainstream to produce a collaborative environment. We're going after the 3 million young people in the UK to help them to share, game and learn together. Now, the business model we're looking at is either a B2B or a B2C. We have got validation from parents to say that they would buy this for their children, and schools who could either absorb the cost themselves or would share the cost with the parent.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions from you? No? Perfect.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Joanna. Next up, we have Michael Wilmot from Knodium. Did I pronounce that all right?
We say Knodium, but we're happy with Knodium if that's what you want to say.
I obviously need Joanna's app, you see.
Hi, my name's Michael, and I'm the co-founder of Knodium. Knodium is the default place that students at over 100 universities go to collaborate with each other online as part of their studies. My first very quick plug in this presentation is that you can all log into Knodium now with your university account, and there's actually a community on there for the future of technology and education, so I'd encourage you all to join and kind of join in the discussion and share your thoughts. The way that students are engaging with and learning from each other is moving increasingly online. And this is driving some pretty fundamental changes in the education system. These are changes that are predominantly being driven by the students themselves. What we're seeing is emerging technologies changing kind of the expectations and experience from students and faculty alike. Of all the students that we've spoken to, we ask them questions like, where do you go online to study? And if you're doing group project work, what kind of things do you use? The responses varied massively from things like we use Facebook groups all the time to we just meet up in a cafe whenever we can. But the common theme between all of these responses is that none of these places exist within the university environment. This is creating an increasingly fragmented landscape and experience for the students between the online part of their education and the offline part. And so what we're seeing is that really there's no default place that students go to study online as part of their education. We drew inspiration from a guy that I'm sure lots of you have come across, Sugata Mitra, and we thought, well, universities are these big kind of chaotic networks, and what does it look like to take that online? And if you put it in the control of the students, do you kind of get this emerging phenomenon of learning? And so this is exactly what we've done with Knodium. Knodium is the best way for students to go online and engage with their lecturers and their peers and even a wider community of curious minds and create groups based on the courses they're taking, projects they're working on, or even just common interests. For students, we're creating this unified experience that they currently lack within their kind of online aspect of their education and merging it with the offline. We launched last academic year, and we've grown to become used in over 100 universities in the country. We launched again this academic year, and we're seeing some really cool projects from the likes of UCL and some other pretty big universities around how they're actually now starting to integrate Knodium more closely with their teaching. We're doing something really cool in the background, though, because what people have said, people have often asked the question, why is big data not really applied to education? And the response is normally, well, the data's not big enough. Well, we're suddenly getting all of these students who are engaging online and talking about their education, and we call this the Knodium universe. And I think it's really, really cool. We can start to do things like drill into the center of it and look at what are the really busy bits, and we can start to pick out who are the influences in university networks. What's happening within the university as a network, and what does it look like? What are the common trends of discussion? And you can zoom out and you can go, well, what are the things on the outlying side of it as well? And what are the kind of students potentially at risk of dropping out or kind of disengaged? That's pretty much me. Thanks very much. And if you're interested in it, then please come up to me and speak to me afterwards. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Michael. So, judges, over to you. Any questions?
So I was really excited by your excitement, like particularly with the network. I can see how this could be really exciting. And some of our participants here on Twitter have commented, I think, and echoed a question that came to my mind as well. What would, I mean, you say it's the default place. It's the best place for students to go. But I'm wondering, is there a need to have this? Like, I'm not saying, you know, what you're doing isn't interesting, but like there are so many other networks that students already use, and there's a lot of work being done where educators try and bring that into their universities via hashtags or other clever ways of pulling in data from networks that students already use. Why is Knodium going to be that solution?
Yeah, so good question. We started very purely from the student perspective. It started when I was a student at university, and we worked on the assumption that actually, as a student at university, if I'm stuck on a tutorial sheet at 2 in the morning, where do I go to seek help? And where is that supported by my university? Where does that sit within an academic network? Facebook groups are the most widely used thing in education at the moment, especially within higher education. And this is a problem for the universities as well as the students who don't enjoy using Facebook for studying because it's for socializing. They get distracted when pictures of cats pop up on their newsfeed when they're trying to talk about homework. And so we're trying to build something that brings that back into the academic environment. We're not trying to be another kind of network that sits on the side, that is used by students, that is independent from university kind of administration and learning. We're trying to become that thing that bridges the gap between the online and the offline student experience.
You mentioned in your pitch about university lecturers, for example, bringing the platform into their own learning, into their own teaching. Could you explain how that would work?
Yeah, so I guess we have two very big distinct use cases. One being that it's predominantly student-driven, which is where students go and create study groups, or they use it for their project work. But then increasingly, we're seeing lecturers come on board and use it as part of their course. So we've kind of now started seeing lecturers use it to create these online communities around their course, which is a way for them to both facilitate engagement between students, but also to get involved themselves. That varies massively between lecturers, and it works well kind of anywhere on that spectrum. In some of the bigger universities that we're working with, we're now actually seeing them kind of use Knodium as a more fundamental part of the kind of education experience. They're recognizing that a huge amount of the learning happens online outside of the classroom or the lecture theatre. And they kind of want to provide this space that is supported by the university, but not necessarily kind of deeply managed or run by the university. And kind of they've got this space where they know the students can go and engage with each other and reach out for support with each other, that is run by them, not the university.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Michael.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Camille and Lucas from Lingoflow.
Hi, I'm Lucas. And I'm Camille. And we are Lingoflow. As language teachers and students would tell you, including us, learning and especially retaining foreign vocabulary is a challenging task. Without students having a really comprehensive way to keep their vocabulary active, it's almost impossible for them to achieve the top grades in their exams.
Sometimes students don't know what vocabulary they know and how well they can use it, making it difficult to prepare efficiently. On top of that, teachers often spend a lot of their own time creating tests that are not consistent and, on their own, don't provide enough insight into student progress. All of these problems lead to wasted teaching time, lower student satisfaction, and, ultimately, lower grades.
So, Lingoflow, providing tailored support for commonly taught languages, such as French, German, Spanish, and Italian, and many more. We give teachers and course creators the tools which are invaluable to them to create and manage all of their content effectively in one place.
On top of that, creating printed tests has never been easier. With a single click of a button, the test is right there, saving loads of precious time in lessons.
Now, we also think that progress is important, and we think that showing students exactly how well and how well they can actually use their vocabulary is absolutely vital. And giving the teachers a complete overview of their classrooms is, once again, vital in providing targeted revision for exams. But there is a lot more to come from us. Mobile apps for iOS and Android, online test platform to speed up the whole process of evaluating student progress, as well as resource and media sharing, and many more awesome features based on the feedback we receive.
We have successfully launched our pilot at Sussex Downs College, Eastbourne and Lewis campuses, as well as Vardyne College in Brighton in mid-September. This comes to around 200 language students fully engaged and using our platform regularly, as well as over 10 teaching staff that already wholeheartedly endorse and would recommend our platform to others.
Yes, and you can see we've got a timeline here. This is a 3-month timeline, so we are currently almost in the middle, at the stage where we are looking to gather the feedback. So over the 3 months, the first month is actively collecting the feedback and fixing up all the issues that may arise. Now, in month 2, we are looking to expand to more colleges, first of all, sixth form colleges, and also secondary schools, potentially universities, and the classroom management tools and further development thereafter. So with this in mind, it is time to say farewell to students forgetting their vocabulary and hello to the next big thing in language education, Lingoflow. Learn it, use it, remember it.
Thanks very much, guys. Judges, any questions?
Speaking. Thanks for the pitch. I see that you've got some funding. What are the financial plans going forward?
All right, so we are a JISC-funded project. We've been involved in the Summer of Student Innovation, and we have received a grant of £5,000 to get this up and running. Now we are going for the further funding, which will enable us to take this product further and develop it into a full platform that can be usable across the colleges and schools in the UK.
So basically the aim is to make this a product that is usable in the MFL sector across secondary schools, colleges, and potentially universities as well.
Yes. Just to add to that, regarding the actual monetization of the product, at the end of the 3 months that are kind of the timescale for now, we are looking to take the actual platform from being piloted at these colleges right now into a full service which can be monetized and brought across the other institutions in the UK. So, yeah.
Thank you.
In an ideal world, where would you like to be in 3 years' time?
Okay. So, with all the plans that we've done, we are aiming to become one of the top language and especially vocabulary learning platforms where the actual focus is not only on the, let's say, the individual use, but more on the actual classroom use, where the teachers and the students are able to interact with each other. And one of the things that we have going right now is the whole idea of flows, which are the quick examples that allow students and teachers to gain a better context of where this vocabulary could be used. So eventually this will be a tool that will be able to be used for contextual learning and to actually show the students how to bridge the gap between their theoretical knowledge and the real-world use of the language.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect. Thanks very much. Up next, we have, ready when you are. Up next we have Joe Barrett from Pod Academy.
Thank you very much. Hello, my name's Joe Barrett, and I'm here today. I'm going to talk to you about Pod Academy. We are a public gateway to academic research. We produce podcasts on the latest academic research, and in doing so, we aim to broadcast the often largely invisible work of university lecturers to the academic community and a wider public. Our podcasts have become a vital resource for lecturers, students, businesses, and public bodies, providing a detailed yet accessible source for the latest research and findings. Founded in 2011, we are an independent, not-for-profit podcasting platform Just like a university, our podcasts are split into separate schools, or as we call them, channels. We currently have 154 podcasts on our site. We are run entirely by volunteers and have received no funding to date. Nonetheless, we still manage to maintain a core team of 7 who are in charge of coordinating projects, maintaining the website, promoting Pod Academy via social media, and keeping an ear to the ground for new developments in academic research. We're supported by an experienced advisory board of academics, journalists, publishers, and IT and communications experts, and we rely on an army of volunteer producers, typically radio journalists, recent graduates, and PhD students. Our podcasts are available on iTunes, our website, and several other programs have been picked up and subsequently broadcast on American public radio. Some of our more popular podcasts receive up to and beyond 5,000 downloads. Now, this brings me to the value of our podcast as a teaching and learning resource. We recognize that it's easy for academic research to be hidden away in the corners of libraries and archives. We want to bring this invariably fascinating research to an audience that reaches beyond small clusters of academics by creating informative, rigorous, yet entertaining podcasts. We've had tremendous success with this to date, with academics continually telling us that our podcasts are a vital addition to lectures and seminars, or part of a supplementary reading listening list for undergraduate or postgraduate modules. And it goes beyond this. We ourselves provide training courses for our volunteer producers. Many of these are PhD students looking for new ways of communicating their research to new, diverse audiences. Our impact on learning also reaches beyond the UK and its universities. Our podcasts are picked up by lifelong learners, and additionally, we've discovered that they are a valuable resource for people learning English as a foreign language. We are regularly liked and retweeted by educational organizers throughout the world, and our listenership internationally is expanding fast. Pod Academy is unique. Most academic podcasting takes the form of recorded lectures. We provide more than this. We want to demonstrate the wider cultural and social value of academic research by creating stimulating, professionally produced radio, which can benefit learners, teachers, and the general public. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Maureen?
I'm not sure, I'm not quite speechless. Sort of from like, we don't receive any funding to all the training you provide and all the people you work with. I can see, you know, all the kind of different things you're trying to achieve, but given that this is Pitchfest, what is it, do you think, is the next step for Pod Academy? Where would you like to take it?
Well, the next stage is we want it to be we want making a podcast, making a radio, a piece of accessible, communicative piece of media to be a part of what academics do when they're thinking about putting together a pitch. So ultimately, in terms of probably one of your questions is how are we going to make any money? But the business model for this is possibly and potentially, as well as selling our programs to other people, is to encourage academics to write Pod Academy podcasts into research applications, which I think is something very achievable because podcasts are incredibly cheap for what they are and have the potential to reach a huge audience.
Excellent idea. I was thinking about how researchers would respond to this, given that most of what they're rewarded for at the moment is for writing peer-reviewed research papers, so that's a really good answer to that. I just wonder, given that they're really, really busy people, how do you encourage them to find the time to create radio programs with you?
Well, part of what we do is we are trained radio professionals, and really our producers go in with the specific aim of trying to sort of mine the information, mine the brains, and mine the research of these people who are paid to do the research. We're professional communicators, so we kind of take it as our job to translate this information and make it relevant for our audience and as wide an audience as possible.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Any more questions? No?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Kev Price from Reframed.
Hi, I'm Kev from Reframed, and we're changing the way the world consumes, interacts with, and shares video content. Video is undeniably huge. Its use within education is well established, and there's an ever-increasing archive of video footage online. Discussions around video on notation are always pushed to external platforms, external technology, or even pen and paper, where it becomes difficult to either join in those conversations or understand your notes in context. Wouldn't it be brilliant if all of that information could be synced to the video itself? Then it wouldn't matter if you were watching a video an hour, a week, a month after you first saw it. The notes that you took would still make sense. The discussions that other people were having, you could join in with. That's why we've created Reframed. Reframed allows you to comment on moments of video. It timestamps the comment at the moment that you start typing. And instead of displaying these as a disjointed list at the bottom of the video, we play each one back alongside the video at the moment that it's referring to. We measure all commenting activity and display this as a graph in the timeline. So you can scroll backwards and forwards and ensure that you're not missing out on the most engaging part. Often a single comment isn't enough. So each comment expands out to be a live chat style discussion or a place where you can add extra notes for increased clarity. We have private commenting for personal annotation, but by default, comments are public, because this is how we're making video truly social. All public comments can be shared on social media with a link that drives traffic back to the video, playing the moment that it's referring to. Or if you share it on Twitter, we're embedding relevant moments of video directly into the Twitter timeline. All comments that you make are saved to your Reframed dashboard, so you can refer back to them later. And we have social tools of following and favoriting what other people are saying. This is all available right now on Reframed.tv. But we've also got our embeddable player. This allows you to use Reframed technology on your domain, around your content, for your audience. We give you moderation control, administration control, so you can create the discussion however you want for those who are viewing it. Our first clients for this are Channel 4 News, and we've got a paid trial with BBC R&D. We're very excited to be helping them engage directly with their audience. I don't have a tremendous amount of time to tell you about the interesting things that we're doing with the data. This is a quick view of what we did around the Scottish referendum debate, where we took their comments and put them through analysis to show how people were feeling at different points in the video. But I'll leave you by reminding you that this is Reframed. We're building communities around video, moment by moment. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Kevin. Thank you. Judges, any questions?
Thank you. If anyone hasn't had a look on their website, the demo video that you've got is really good as well and helped me to understand it. I know that you've had discussions with Twitter and KPMG, and you mentioned Channel 4. What have you learned through that process that has made you sort of change your product slightly?
Oh, wow.
Or have you not had to change anything?
I mean, most of it comes from user testing. So, for instance, everyone gets really excited about commenting on moments of video, but then they come to a video and they don't necessarily want to be the first one. Mm-hmm. So we're having to precede conversation by recording a hashtag through Twitter. So for instance, we'll be recording the hashtag for this and putting it against the Google Hangout that's occurring, because then we can precede the conversation. People can join in and see what happened afterwards. So that's the kind of thing that we're learning. We just watch people use it and iterate.
So would you imagine an educational provider, for example, curating their videos in the same way?
Yeah, for instance, with BBC R&D, we're doing a project around, I think it's a talk on ethics. And they want to have a view where they've gone through and filtered all the information and pushed to the front all of the things that they find interesting. But then you can go to a view where it's all of the comments that anyone's made, and you can add your own and join in the discussions that way. So they have a curated view, which so they can manage it against their brand, and also an open view where people can just heckle each other.
Thank you.
Right.
Could you tell us a little bit more about what you do with the data that you didn't have the chance to mention? I'm very curious about what the back end of that looks like, and we had quite a few comments on Twitter about that as well.
Yeah, the sentiment analysis side of things came out of work we were doing with market research companies, because they pay people to watch video and then analyze it afterwards. And with the ability to record information from Twitter, we can then take all the information from like the Scottish referendum debate, where there was 39,000 tweets, all against like an hour-and-a-half video, and run it through sentiment analysis or semantic analysis, as we're partnering with someone to get an idea of what people are saying and how they're feeling. So you can aggregate the data, because you can't really show one person 39,000 tweets. It's just too much information. But if we can give an overview of that, then it's easy to get that context across. So you get like this iceberg kind of situation where we can show specific things that are relevant and then aggregate data underneath. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kev. Up next, we have Brian and Margaret from the Mobile Collective.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Margaret from the Mobile Collective, and this is Brian. I'm an entrepreneur, and Brian is a developer, and we do hack days. Can I ask how many people here have been to a hack day? Oh, pretty good number.
We do them because we believe in the creative power of hack days. But we do them also mainly because we really, really love doing hack days. What can a hack day do for a classroom or a lab? What can it do for learning and research? Well, when you're in a classroom learning, you're concentrating on a single subject. And we've heard a lot about distraction and the dangers of distraction. At a hack day, you're creating something. And when you're creating something, you're drawing on everything you've learned and all of your experiences and of all the people around you. So hack days can transform students and learners into creators and makers. And we see this and the enthusiasm for this in every hack day we do.
Hack days work everywhere. We've been doing hack days in Barrow, Alaska. We've also been doing hack days at CERN in Geneva. We've been doing hack days with secondary school students, and we've been doing hack days with esteemed physicists. Hack days work for everybody. Hack days are all about creative collaboration and teamwork, bringing people together to work on projects together.
And rather than hack days are about being there. You have to be there and experience the enthusiasm. Rather than try to describe it to you, we'd like to show you a video of a recent hack day we did here at UCL at Citizen Cyber Science Summit.
Hi there, I'm Darlene Cavalier from SideStarter.
We are very interested in light pollution.
Rather than making games from scratch all the time, why can't we just take a game that exists, mix it with another one, and change it to fit our needs?
Very low-tech solution.
And the idea of Gather is it's very easy to do that in an hour, a couple of hours, rather than spending a long time developing a mobile app.
Have fun today. We came in part to see if we would be able to start to develop a dashboard for citizen scientists, and so we made a lot of headway. So the next step for us is to put together some storyboards and then our wireframes, and we're ready to start moving on those. Full steam ahead.
We are just finished the app, so it has been gone perfectly.
Already today I've built something that's better than the thing that's existing on my website that I've had 18 months.
Okay, so I had a great day at Hack Day today. This is my first one. I would really recommend it. I mean, there was a lot of smart people in the room, bouncing great ideas off each other.
Any questions from you? Yeah, great, thank you. I was just wondering, your interviewee on the video mentioned the great ideas buzzing around. How do you capture what happens in a hack day and what happens afterwards?
There's a mix of things that we do. So we often bring somebody with us to capture and take notes of everything that's going on, either through video or photography, so that all of the people that are participating can reflect back afterwards on what's happened during the hack day. But part of what a hack day does is move something forward. So you're actively working on a project. So we make sure that if things have not been you're never reaching a stage of completion at the end of a hack day. We make sure that all of those notes and what's getting worked on is captured, and give people the space to come back and continue working on things. Find it a home within an organization or a project or a club or something else that it ties back to and continues on.
And we also prepare for a hack day, for this hack day, with a website and challenges, and people can interact with the challenges online, so that's a very important way to capture a lot of it.
And you'll notice in the video there was a show and tell of what people were working on at the end of the day, so it's also shared back with the entire group of participants, what everybody was individually working on. So you still have the opportunity to see other things that were happening alongside you.
Thank you.
I'm curious, how can you engage people who are maybe sort of not enthusiastic about technology?
I can answer that question quickly. It's like it's a Cortez moment for a lot of those people. You just show them how to program an Arduino board. This is particularly true in schools. I've been doing a lot in schools lately. They have been told that, or have the belief that coding is difficult. That's nonsense. Coding is easy. You just show them how to do it, and suddenly they've been transported to another planet, and they go with it, you know, and they come back 2 weeks later with an entire project they've done. You haven't told them anything.
A lot of it's about
so
how you frame
really
it as well. So if you make it look like it's technology, it's coding, you have to be a programmer to be able to do this, then you get people mentally ruling themselves out.
Right.
But if it's, usually there's a theme or a source of inspiration or some kind of vision that's at the heart of a hack day, and people are connecting with that, and they're coming and picking up bits and pieces and surprising themselves once they've realized how easy it is for them to do something and contribute.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Thanks. Up next, we have Ignacio from Unitu. Unitu?
My name is Anish. I'm Ignacio Willits. And we are the co-founders of Unitu. Unitu is the place for universities to effectively represent and engage with the student voice. We do this by digitalizing the student rep system, making it more powerful and more efficient. For those who do not know, the student rep system consists of unions, course reps, students, and staff who come together as co-creators in the educational experience. This system is absolutely key to improving the student experience from both an institutional and an individual level, and it exists in every UK university. However, the system breaks down because it lacks a designated space to represent the student voice. And because of this, it's extremely difficult for unions and universities to collect and act upon student feedback. As a result, you end up having a system that looks like this. It's inefficient, it's disorganized, and it's costly in terms of time and money for universities and unions to be able to enhance the student experience. Unitu solves this by creating a centralized platform that brings students, course reps, staff, and unions together to collaboratively raise and resolve academic issues.
And this provides three main benefits. Firstly, it empowers the student voice, it saves time for reps, staff, and student unions, and it provides actionable insights into enhancing the academic experience. Now, to show you exactly how Unitu delivers these benefits to its features, we're going to show you a quick video.
So let's begin with Alice, our course rep for sociology. She jumps onto the issue feed, a private space for reps and students to raise and prioritise their concerns. Alice sees a high priority issue with a number of votes from her peers. She then decides to bring this onto the issues board, an area shared by staff, students and reps to collaboratively resolve any issues raised. An email is sent to all staff in the department notifying them about the issue. Kent, a staff member within the department, logs onto his account and sees the issue raised by Alice. He knows that Karen, the department administrator, is better at handling this issue, so he assigns it to her and lets Alice and her peers know. Within seconds, Karen can inform all students that the issue is now in progress and can continue to have real-time discussions with her students. After a week, the issue is resolved and she can easily inform all students within a couple of clicks. Unitu effectively closes the feedback loop and empowers the student voice by building a community of trust and transparency. Using our analytics feature, student unions and management staff can analyse data on how issues are raised and resolved university-wide, enabling them to make more informed decisions with regards to enhancing the student experience.
We use the QAA's Chapter B5 as a support framework to support our software and enable universities to increase student engagement. Unitu is delivered by web and mobile applications, now enabling users to raise and resolve issues on the go. We aim to embed Unitu using a number of tools, Shibboleth, LTI, and VLE plugins. Our team consists of students and recent graduates, and collectively we possess over 20 years of business and technical development experience. Over the course of the next month, we'll be delivering our pilot program to over 2,000 users at these 2 London universities. Over the next year, we'll be seeking further funding to achieve our mission, providing tools to listen to the student voice effectively. Thank you for listening to our presentation, and we'd love to take your questions.
Thanks very much, guys. Nicola, do you want to go first?
Thank you. I'm curious about what feedback you've had from staff within institutions.
Positive feedback. What they like about the system is that it creates transparency. On top of that, it's a filtering process, so they get to only see the most representative and most significant issues from students, rather than having tons of issues of the same ones going straight to their email. So it saves them a lot of time and allows them to resolve issues that are the most representative. So that's a big bonus for them.
Thank you.
I think I've got many questions, this is why I'm pausing. I think my question is sort of, does this have scope to link in to other systems that already exist, given that we want to maximize the time staff have to deal with issues rather than monitoring or responding to them? So what is the way into, you know, VLEs or surveys or other evaluation tools that already exist?
Absolutely. So as Ignacio said, we are working on embedding ourselves in different forms of technology. So one is Shibboleth, so allowing for easy user authentication by staff and students' university email address, so they don't have to sign up to a software. The second is using LTI, so we'll be able to allow staff and students to access Unitu within their Moodle or Blackboard VLEs, so they don't have to go out to another existing system, they can do it within inside. So that's 2 ways we're doing it. The other thing that you mentioned about feedback forms, so that's something that is crucial. So, you know, one thing that a lot of universities do is use module feedback forms. So we want to embed that within Unitu, so it becomes a central place for users to be able to give feedback through Unitu and allows the universities to collect data a lot faster.
Great. What's the next step for you?
Sure. So we're going to be carrying out a pilot program at SOAS and Roehampton. And this is we're gonna really use this experience to shape and mold the experience within Unitu and make sure it's a perfect product. And then we're hoping to go commercial in early 2015. So the next steps are a successful pilot program and further funding to achieve these goals.
Great. Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks very much, guys. Round of applause.
Thank you.
And now, last but by no means least, we have James from MyCQs.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today, I'd like to get us to think about the way that we and our students learn. We're living in an age where we're better connected than ever before, not just to a whole wealth of human knowledge and information, but also to each other. So it seems quite strange then that when you ask most students how do they learn, how do they acquire new information, they'll paint you a picture that looks something like this. And they know as well as you and I do that this isn't an effective way to learn. It's boring, it's passive, and it's socially isolating. These are things that might even be forgivable, except for the fact that it's also an incredibly ineffective way to learn. My name is James Gupta. I'm a medical student and enterprise scholar at the University of Leeds. And last year, this was me, just spending weeks on end reading through a course book, you know, over and over again in the hope that eventually something would stick. Unable to take it anymore, a colleague and I, Omer, developed a radical new solution to this called MyCQs. MyCQs is an online platform that encourages students to create, practice, and share multiple choice question tests with each other. Creating multiple choice tests is an incredibly effective way to revise. It's engaging, it's active, and it forces you to go through your course content in a very critical manner. MyCQs then allows you to practice these tests wherever you are, either as part of an extended revision session, or just if you happen to have a few minutes when you're waiting for the bus. You can then share these tests with your friends and course mates, which allows you to get feedback on the things that you've written, and it also adds a friendly, competitive element into what was otherwise a very isolated activity. We initially made MyCQs for other medical students, and it went down very well. But when the app and the website, when the app amassed 16,000 downloads in the space of about 4 hours one day, we realized that we tapped into something that was much bigger than we realized. Suddenly we had a whole range of people from across the world using MyCQs. We continue to have loyal users who range from special needs teachers, Boeing 747 pilots, and GCSE students. So over the last few months, with support from JISC and the University of Leeds, we've gone back to the drawing board and completely redeveloped MyCQs. Our brand new website launched a few days ago, and we have a new iOS app coming out in a few weeks. Both of these will be free to students and teachers, and we're going to add premium content. This will give students access to professionally written, peer-reviewed tests, intelligent, personalized learning plans on the app and the website, and also advanced analytics. The advanced analytics will include a dashboard which institutions can use to see real-time data on how their students are performing in different areas. What we're looking for at the moment is going to be investment to help us take it to the next level, as well as pilot organizations who'd be willing to integrate MyCQs as a part of their curriculum. I'm James Gupta from MyCQs. Our website is www.mycqs.com. Thanks very much.
Thanks very much, James. Judges, any questions for James?
Just to come back to the analytics you mentioned, is your vision that the institution will have a sort of subscription or something like that where it can see the information, or will it be shared more openly? Sort of, will students be able to share quizzes with students who are not in their institution?
The general plan for the moment is obviously students can still download it by themselves and use it as a standalone platform. In the near future, when we're partnering with organizations, we're looking to have it adopted on a university or school-wide level. So they would purchase access, which will give all of their students access to the premium tier. It will give the university the ability to set up private tests that are only available to those students. And the dashboard is something we'll work very closely with these institutions on. We need to know what it is they want out of it, what sort of functionality. But as we envision it at the moment, this will be a website that they can log on to. They can allocate tests to. So just following a lecture, you could say, let's check your understanding, collect sort of crowdsourced data on whether that was well delivered or not, and then see this data coming in on how the students are doing.
Okay, brilliant.
Could you explain a little more about who will create the quizzes?
Could you repeat that? Sorry.
Yeah, who's going to create the quizzes?
So MyCQs is all about community-generated content. We have the users create tests, and obviously these can either be private tests, just offline, or you can share them with other people, and then anyone can go on these and download them. They could be friends of yours on your course, or they could just be people from a totally different country. With any sort of user-generated system, you've got the problem of quality control. This is a thing that we're actively working on. We've got measurements, things like the percentage of people who download a test and use it more than once is an indicator of it being a good test. And we're also looking to offer professionally written tests, which will be guaranteed to be accurate and high quality.
Okay. So eventually, would you envisage that these tests people would pay to download certain tests and not others?
Certain tests would only be available through the premium tier. So, for example, for medical students, we're looking to get a database of 2,000 to 3,000 questions that have been written by doctors, professors, and that kind of thing. And then students can go on, pay for the premium level and get access to these tests. If they don't want to pay for premium, then they still get access to community written and their own tests.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks very much, James. Thank you. Big round of applause to all the startup pitchers, if that's the right term. And big thank you to the judges. Thanks, sterling job. I now have to read, and I'm starting to think some of those apps come in useful to me. So you have the chance to vote for your winner right now. We leave voting open until we get back from coffee break in about half an hour. And the winner will be announced before we start the next session. So we're doing this rather quickly. Could you just jump back to the first slide? Sorry. I think the PowerPoint auto-transition devil is chasing me. So here's how you can vote. You can either text or tweet at FOTE, so text 020 3322 5822, and then just use the keyword for your chosen winner, or you just tweet the keyword at FOTE, or if you check Twitter now, we will just be posting a link so you can vote online. You can only vote once, that's very German for me. It's been a long day. Do you want to go through? Thank you. Lingo for Lingoflow, PodEgg for Pod Academy, Refra for Reframed, Mobile without the E for Mobile Collective. Thanks. Last one. No. We're getting there. Unitu for Unitu, that's quite easy, and MyCQs for MyCQs. Coffee break, half an hour, so let's do 35 minutes and be back here at 4:10 for the last session. For those of you that are thinking to leave, don't. Not because I'm going to hunt you down, but we have Star Wars references and some other treats for you, so you wouldn't want to miss those. So enjoy your coffee break and see you back at 4:10. Thank you. Welcome back, everyone. Take your seats, shuffle in. So voting has closed for the Startup Pitchfest. Apologies, there was a bit of an issue earlier. The irony isn't lost on me. And I'm very happy to let you know who the runner-up and winner of the first Startup Pitchfest are. So we don't have a drum roll or anything, so I'll just make it very simple. Runner-up at the first ever FOTE Startup Pitch is Reframed. Thanks, guys. Round of applause. And the winner of the first ever Startup Pitch, and this is quite heavy, is Fluency. Behind back there. There you go.
You're very kind. Thank you, Frank.
Congratulations.
Appreciate it.
There you go.
Thank you, everybody.
Perfect.